I was quite surprised by the condition of this Maxion engine when I took it apart the other day. Super condition. The cylinders are beautiful, the crank's lovely. Anyway, I've stripped it down, I've cleaned it, I've sandblasted the outside, and I've spent an hour and a half steam cleaning it and cleaning every little oil way out possible. So it's lovely and clean now, as you can see, probably down here. Now, the purpose of this video is, you can see the bearings here are beautiful. They look like they've come straight out the machine shop. And I'm going to do something that's really unusual. I know this is a standard crank, because it says so on the shelves. However, the one thing we've never done in all our videos is used this stuff. Plastigauge. Can you see? What's Plastigauge? Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a way of measuring a clearance in a bearing, like a shell bearing, judging on how thick the piece of plastic inside is compressed. Now obviously, if there's a big, like when you put your shell onto your crank, if there's a big space, it won't compress too much. But if the clearances are tight, it'll spread really nice and wide. And you can see by the gauge off here, we've got two sets of gauges on here. We've got metric, wait a minute, which side is metric? That's the metric side, and this is the inch side. Now it's kind of difficult to read, but it goes from 0.025 to 0.076 millimeters, and on the other side it goes from 1/1000th of an inch to 3/1000th of an inch. It will tell you the gap without using feeler gauges and anything like that. And what you do is you compress the plasticky stuff, and then you compare the compressed plastic to the width of here. Now you should have, let's use this one for example, you should have 4 measurements. If you see there, wait a minute, yeah, you've got 4 measurements. It goes green, white, green, white. So obviously the wider the measurement is, the tighter the clearance and the better it is. Now I haven't used this for a long time, because I usually get cranks reground or polished and they're usually pretty good. But today we're going to go off the book. That's right. Now this is printed out from the 300 TDI workshop manual, available in my shop, but this is the way they recommend you do it. All right, it's a pain because you mustn't put the crank in with any oil. All right, so it's one of the first jobs you do before you oil anything up and get it all greasy and dirty and things like this. You must use this Plastigauge with no oil, because the oil can expand the clearance and tighten up the clearances a bit, so you don't want that. And so you do it dry. All right. Now it says in here, fit new bearing shells to saddles, main bearing caps, ensuring the tags are located, blah 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 blah. Use an assistant, fit the crankshaft. Not round here. Place a piece of Plastigauge across the width of each main journal. So we're going to just do number 3 bearing for a starter. Now, why am I doing it like this? Well, this is the shell off the big end, off the bottom end of the main bearing, and they're beautiful. They just look like they've been taken out. There's no scars, scratches, nothing on them. Not down to copper at all, and I very rarely do this. I usually buy new shells and put them in anyway. But in this instance, I'm going to say no. So, we're going to take a piece of Plastigauge out. It is small. That's it. Can you see it? That's how small it is. We're going to place it on all of the journals, and we're going to put it at the top. We're going to try and get it in the middle. What a mess about. Can you see? This one here. Right here. There. That's better. Perhaps you can see it now. It's very hard to zoom in because I can hardly see it from here. And then we're going to put a little bit of oil on the main bearing bolts and tighten it down to 133 Newton meters and check the clearance. Right, so here goes. Now you can only put these caps on one way because they've got dowels in. I haven't put the thrusts in yet, so don't worry, I'm not going to turn the crank. So we'll spin the bolts down, and then we'll torque them down, and then we'll take it out and have a look. As I say, it's very unusual that I actually do these. Now it says torque it down to 133, and that's what we're going to do. We're just going to do it progressively. One thing about oil, it picks up all the dirt. And you mustn't turn the crank. Right, now I'm going to leave that a tiny bit while I go and get another bar to take these off with. Never put these the other way around and use them as a wrench to take bolts off with. I've seen that before and it buggers them up. Right, so let's go and get a breaker bar. Right, here it goes. Right, let's see what we'll see what it's like, eh? Again, try not to disturb it. If you disturb it, you buggered it up. Now, the moment of truth. Right, there's the stuff there. And we take now, it's very hard to see. So we're on the sort of the minimum type of clearance there. What's that in? 0.76. What's our limit? 0.79. So we're in our limit. In fact, I think we could go to the next one. I have to get my magnifying glass out because I can hardly bloody see this. Hang on. Here we go. So I'm going to get the magnifying glass out and I'm going to go right down to the bottom here and check. Oh, actually I was wrong. It's 0.51. So we're well into size for the crank. There's no need to regrind it. I'll put new shells in. They're absolutely nipping up nice. 0.031 to 0.059. We're right in the sort of middle range. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to check all the rest. I'm going to check the rest, but I think it's going to be fine. I honestly think it's going to be fine. You know. Now, just a little word of warning. You don't rub this off with emery cloth or anything like this. They say with an oily rag. I don't know where I'm going to find one around here, but rub it off with something like an oily rag. Don't try and use solvents or anything like that. But that, to me, I'll check all the rest. I think they're going to be fine within tolerances. It would have been nice to get a really super tight tolerance, but believe it, I never heard any problems with this engine. I had no oil pressure problems, nothing at all. And again, that's without oil. I'm sure if we had oil on those bearings, it would nip it up even tighter because it'll just squidge the oil out. So it's good. And you've got to have good clearance around these bearing shells to retain oil pressure. If it's all loose and banging about, the oil comes out the side of the caps and it just loses oil pressure. So I think this is going to be a good one. See ya.